Okay, so the term coon is up top on the third line of this paragraph. Maybe some people missed it, but I'm showing it so people understand what I'm talking about. So, this person who is Hispanic looking, who does not look black, called me a coon, basically. Other black people came in and said that coon was not racist. And it's funny to me because it's like, do you know the definition of coon, where it came from? Look at the page. Look at what I'm saying here. It literally has to do with slave owners calling runaway, escaped slaves coons because they were basically using it as a derogatory term to how they basically caught them with their dogs and things of that nature. So it's very derogatory. I think the fact that you think it's an okay term implies that you think that coon means self-hating. Do you get what that means, what you're saying? That basically those people who were trying to run away from slavery were self-hating? Oh, they didn't want to embrace the lowliness of being black, right? They didn't want to embrace the subjugation of slavery. They didn't want to embrace that. They didn't want to accept that idea that black is less than white. That's what your mindset is, and that's what your anger is with me, honestly. I come from one of those families, by the way, just to disclose that. I come from a family that is the descendants of runaway slaves. And, I mean, to try and use a connotation against people who actually fought for their freedom in a time when everybody was going against them, to try and use a derogatory slur like that shows you hate black people like none other. It does. Saying that that's self-hating, that's not self-hating, that's self-loving. That's self-preservation. Seriously, trying to use that term to say that it's not a derogatory term. Every definition I've looked up on that term is derogatory, and it has to do with slavery. It has to do with the slaves that actually had a mind of their own and decided to actually get up and leave and not be mentally conquered like many of your families were. So I'm just saying, don't you dare try and act like that's an okay word to use. I have every bit of pride in my family and my ancestors for being smart enough to try and actually leave oppression and actually think that actually they were worth more than just being slaves the rest of their lives for some people who just want to use them for work and torture. The fact that some people had so many people on their plantations and they still outnumbered the people who were holding them in bondage says that those people were mentally conquered. And most likely you come from one of those families. That's why you think that there's some kind of negative connotation against somebody who actually fought for their freedom, for somebody who actually escaped torture, for someone who is strong enough, despite growing up from babyhood until adulthood, in torture, and, actually knowing they're worth more than that. To try and say that, that you should use, or it's okay to use such a term, implies you literally hate yourself. You guys claim that you're so pro-black love, pro-black people, pro-black women, pro-black men. If you were, you would not use such a derogatory term. You would not defend such a derogatory term. You would not, because you love being black, but instead you see it as a sense of self-hate. Because the reason you see it as self-hate is because you equate being black with being a slave, with being inferior, with being less than. You align with the slave-minded individuals who stayed on the plantation and didn't run away. Maybe that's what you were taught to embrace, accept. and accept it's your identity. Maybe that's how you survived in that kind of environment. But some people were not made to survive in those type of environments because they are free individuals and they are people who understand they are equal to other people despite race. And they don't have any shame in their race. You know, another thing is, some people actually claim certain slaves and escaped slaves were more likely to be less able to be broken, basically, depending on their background and things of that nature. And, I understand, some people, are made for different types of environments, And I kind of think that this shows the trajectory of people like this. You will never look for much in life if you think you are less than. You will never really try to push yourself if you think you're less than. And the way these type of black people move about life is as if they are still subservient slaves. And the reason why is because, look, they basically associate blackness with inferiority. It's a sad situation. That's all I have to say, and thanks for watching.